Hi everybody, it's Miranda here from Business Skills Studio, and I'm delighted to have with me today Sue Richardson from SRA Books, who's going to be chatting to us about why as a business you should be thinking about potentially becoming an author. So hi Sue.
Hi Miranda, nice to see you.
It's so lovely to have you here today. We've been trying to set this up for a while now, and today is the day that it's happening, so I'm so pleased to have you here. Sue, you're a publisher.
I am.
Will you say a little bit more about what's involved in your business and what you do?
Yes, well, we as a publishing company specialise in working with authors who are business owners generally and who want to create a kind of credibility building asset in their business and write and publish a book.
Yeah. And how long have you been doing that?
Oh, well, I've been in publishing for about 23 years now, but it was around about 18 years ago that I set up my first imprint. So I started off working with other publishers. I've always been a bit nuts about words and books and stuff, and started working with other publishers, and then, started my imprint in the late 90s, and here we are today.
Brilliant. And what was it? I mean, you said you were like kind of nuts about books. Is that what sort of drew you into this business?
Yeah, it was really. I mean, I kind of had a couple of false starts because I went into the theatre originally and was never very happy doing that. And then I decided I'd go into higher education of all things. And having been no more sort of successful there and happy there, I thought back and thought, what was the best bit, really? And I had produced a magazine for the university I worked for. And I thought, actually, that was great. And because I always have been a bit crazy about books and words and stuff, I'd always been a writer ever since I was young and a reader. Actually, publishing was always the obvious thing that somehow I missed out on. So I got into it a bit late, but got there.
You got there eventually. Yes. Yeah, I think a lot of us follow that sort of path with our careers. So I think if there's always something, isn't there? There's something there, and then eventually if we listen long and hard enough, we find it.
I think you're right. Yeah, absolutely.
And in the business world, I mean, if you think about being an author, why do you think it is that business people or anybody has that burning desire to become an author?
Well, to be honest, I think that business owners are generally very creative people. They are creating something. They're making something new happen in the world, usually, one way or the other. And of course, that creative spark often leads us to want to kind of express that in some way. And a book is a great way to do that. I have a talk that I do, which I call the 5 pearls of publishing. And I would say that the first pearl really is passion. And business owners tend to have a lot of passion for what they do. It's like the passion is kind of the petrol in the tank, isn't it? It's the thing that gets us out of bed in the morning when times are tough. And that real drive and desire to want to kind of get our message out there and our story out there and make something happen in the world as a result is something that's very common to a lot of kind of entrepreneurial types, I would say. So I think that's a very, I think it's a very, for me, the people that I work with, it's something I find often, and they come with their idea for their book and it's all, tied into their story and what they're doing in their business. And does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And I was also thinking about this thing that we hear, which is everyone's got a book in them. I don't know where that came from or whether it's true, but everyone has got a story. And with a bit of help, other people would want to hear it.
Absolutely.
And that's all. I always find that really interesting, hearing other people's take on where they've got to where they are and what they've learned along the way.
Absolutely.
I guess that's the thing, isn't it?
I think that's exactly right. As human beings, we love to share stories, don't we? That's how we learn. That's how we move on. We learn from each other, not necessarily always in a kind of conventional educational sense. But books are great for that. Books are great tools for sharing those stories and understanding. We all will have a book, won't we? We think back and thought, my goodness, I read that book and it changed my life.
I know, I totally agree with you. But this thing about becoming an author, I mean, for a business or a business owner, it's more than maybe just putting their story out there, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It can achieve so much more. What would you say are the benefits for a business person of becoming a published author?
Okay, so if we look at some of my other pearls, the first pearl being passion, the second one I would argue would be profile. So, I mean, it's a fantastic, becoming a published author is a fantastic way to raise your profile, and actually to have, it's funny, it's that thing of, well, it's clear we know what we're doing, but if you write a book about it and put that out there in the world, people, without even necessarily reading the book, will really respect you and think, gosh, they really must know what they're talking about, because you're the one who's made the effort to put that in the book and get it out there. So profile is huge. Platform, it gives you a platform to reach so many people that you may never meet. You can't be in every room, all the time. You can only be in one place at a time, speaking to the people that you're speaking to. A book can be everywhere. A book can be in thousands of rooms, and a book can be taking your story, your message out there into the world for you. PR, journalists love books. So we all know as businesses the value of getting editorial in newspapers and online. It's huge these days, and effectively free, unlike advertising, which probably, does it actually work anymore? We're all looking for ways to get more business in. Journalists love books. They love authors because the stories are there for them. And, they don't have to do quite so much work digging around. It's all there for them. And those of us that are Radio 4 addicts, if you listen to the Today programme, how many times, is that last bit at kind of 10 to 9, an interview with a published author? Dozens of times every year that happens. Authors have this kudos, profile and everything that attracts PR. So tons of benefits. That's just a small handful.
Absolutely. And I don't know what it is, but it's like you say, being able to say I'm a published author, it has a ring to it. It does kind of lift your status a little bit.
A bit more than a little bit, I would argue.
Okay,
but then I would say that, wouldn't it?
But it kind of, it almost, it validates the message. If it's good enough to be put in writing and bound and distributed, then somehow it seems to add an awful lot of oomph, or kudos, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
So we know there are lots of benefits now. So if there were business owners watching this piece of recording that we've made today, if they were thinking, oh yeah, but where do I start? What kind of topics make a good book? What would you suggest for that person who was having that sort of that thought process and maybe not answering it for themselves?
Yeah, no, I mean, great question. To be honest with you, I think almost any topic works. I think, and I think the real important thing is that you consider writing about what you know. So don't worry if your topic is. There's two things here. One is your topic might be very niche, and sometimes that you might think, who's going to be interested. Actually, the more niche it is, the better in some ways, because people in small niches tend to do really well because the people that are looking for them are being underserved at the moment. And that is really true with book publishing. So, if you're in an area of business where not a lot of people are actually writing, really go for it, because there will be people out there who want your book. You may not sell shed loads, but you will become the go-to person. And that's the key. And on that as well, as I said, again, it's not so much about topic, it's about making sure you write the right book for you and also for your business, and also for your audience, and you work out who it is that your audience is and who it's best for you to be reaching to help you write a book that's going to be really, really effective. I think that in terms of topics, one thing that I've noticed which really works, and I think we've talked a lot already, we've brought it comes out straight away, is story. Stories are what engages people. So whatever your topic, think about the books that have been massively successful, like business books like Fish or Who Moved My Cheese or the E-Myth. They are, in themselves, they are stories. We've done a couple. The Confidence Manager by Kate Atkin is actually a story about a young manager learning how to be more confident in his job. There's a book called Making Clubs Work by Brad Parks, which we published a couple of years ago, which is done as a story between a mentor and a mentee, and it's all around how to create a successful club. So whatever your topic is, however niche, however broad, think about how you can take your story and turn it into something that really engages your audience. That's what I would focus on, rather than going and looking for a specific topic that you think might be successful. Think about what you've got inside yourself.
And is that how a publisher can help a business owner in this process? Because a business owner may not be able to see the interesting angle or really understand the value of their story. Is that what a publisher does? They hear it, they chew it over, and they go, okay, here's what we suggest. Is that what happens?
I think, again, that's a great question, Miranda. I mean, I think that it depends on the kind of publishing that you're looking at doing. I think if you were to go, you need to think carefully about your publishing route. Most people that we would be talking to would be thinking about a kind of independent route. So they would come to a company like ours, who provide the publishing services, professional publishing services, to help them with all of that. If you were thinking of like more of a traditional route, so going to your big imprint like Kogan Page or Wiley or Pearson or one of the big business publishers, you're probably best off being very clear, because you need to create a pitch for your idea. You need to be absolutely sure that that idea is very commercial and probably very original. So hence why it's not for everyone. And these days, but it's not impossible. And if you've got something really unusual, but that could potentially be very commercial, it's worth having a look at that. But generally speaking, most people are probably going to be looking at an independent route. And yes, the important thing absolutely is to find someone to work with, whether that's a publisher or it might be a coach or an editor or someone who's going to help you decide the really key questions, which is what's in it for you and your business, what's in it for the audience that you're writing for, and how then to create the right book out of the answers to those questions.
That's super, actually, because you've really clarified the difference between going to a big publisher and working with an independent publisher there, which I think is a big choice for people to make.
It is. In a sense, what might be useful to think about is that in a way you're selling the idea to a traditional publisher, whereas you're buying the professional advice and services of an independent publishing services company. So, you're in a very different kind of relationship.
Yeah, I understand that. Thank you. So the next question I was going to ask actually is how do you help budding authors get started? But you've started we've already sort of started to cover that. But is there anything else you would do to somebody who came and knocked on your door and said, "Oh, I want to write a book. I've got this idea." What then do you do?
Okay, so we offer a consultancy service which helps them with those questions. Really helps them really define and kind of strategize, right? Absolutely about, because essentially, there's a big investment of yourself in this project, a big investment of yourself, your time, your cash, lots of stuff that you need to be putting in. So I think the best thing to do is make a really clear plan about what you want to get out the other end. So many people, especially when people get swept up by that wonderful passion that they have for what they do. And sometimes what they do is they just kind of throw it all on the paper, throw it all into Amazon, and off they go. They got a book and it doesn't quite work for them. And they say to me, why? Well, I don't understand, what happened. And I think it's because they haven't thought carefully through what their strategy needs to be. What was it they were trying to achieve in the first place? What is it they're trying to achieve in the first place? Who is it that they want to engage with and engage and make that work for your audience? It's always about that, thinking about them, not you. Yes, the book is about you possibly, or it's about your business, or it's about your expertise, but you have to think about the deliverables. You have to think about what it is that when somebody picks up that book, it's got to be solving a problem for them. So those things are incredibly important, and we help them get all that clear. So it's about writing the right book, and then it's about publishing in the right way, making sure that the independent route is being done properly, and professionally, because I think that's really important. And thirdly, reaching the right readers. So who is it that you want to influence? How are you going to reach them? The marketing of the book at the end of the day is really important. We help them from idea through to getting through to the marketplace. So it's at any point we can offer support for authors. So that's really what we're all about. But at the end of the day, we are also a company that cares very deeply about the quality of our books. So it's important to remember that the people that you work with, whoever they are, that they care really about the products that they produce, because there are some, I would argue, with independent publishing, or what sometimes they call themselves self-publishing companies, who maybe really are quite happy and perfectly reasonably to just do what you tell them to do. Whereas actually you might need a bit more advice and a bit more support to get a really professional, because at the end of the day, self-publishers have to, they have to tell their story, but they don't necessarily know how to publish a really good quality book.
So that's what you do. That's
what we do. That's exactly what we do.
People have got the choice, haven't they? And I mean, I imagine there's some costs involved with having your help. I mean, people presumably have to be budgeting to get that kind of help.
They absolutely do. They really do. And again, I mean, my thoughts on this would be to think of it as a serious investment in your business. Make the business case for it. Put it in your business plan. Or if you haven't got a business plan, because not everybody does business planning in that way, create a business plan or a marketing plan for your book. Yeah. Make sure that you understand that the investment that you put in, you will be getting out again in whatever ways. And that might not be around book sales. It might be, I mean, I can't tell you how many stories that I have of people's businesses that have been totally transformed because they've published a book. But it's not because they've sold thousands of books or become Amazon bestsellers. Lots of people put lots of energy into all that. I personally don't agree with that. Create the strategy, work out what it is you want. An author of mine not very long ago had a book which was never going to sell shed loads. It was a lovely little book, don't get me wrong, but it was on business continuity. It's not a subject that's particularly sexy. He got two £25,000 contracts within weeks of publishing his book that he could never have got otherwise. They literally, people picked up the phone. People will come to you instead of you constantly pushing out to them. So if you're a consultant or a trainer or an advisor of any kind, it's brilliant to have a book, because you become, it's that go-to thing. But equally, if you're a business that makes something, that creates product, think about how you can increase your visibility by writing a book about what you do, or about, some aspect of what you do, or telling the story of your business, whatever it is that will get people asking questions about you, engaging with you, thinking about you, and coming to you without you having to go out to them so much.
So what you've just described there, and it's perfect really for sort of trying to translate to business owners how they must see the writing of a book. It's part of their marketing spend.
It is.
They have a figure in mind, and this year that part of the marketing spend is invested in getting the book published.
And marketed. Always remember that in whatever your budget is, and you can do it very cheaply these days, and lots of people do. You can go and do it almost for nothing on Amazon, but will that bring you what you want? Maybe it will. I don't know. It depends what you want. For most of the people that I know, they need a really highly professional, high quality product that they can place in somebody's hands. Yes, there are BE book versions and everything there. You need to make it accessible for everyone. But to have a really good quality book that you're very proud of, with high production values, great design, all of those things, really, really key for people when, they want to make that impact. Yes, you need to invest in that. Yet you also need to remember to set aside some of your budget for the actual marketing of that book. So again, not necessarily to make masses of cash out of book sales, but to make sure that it has the visibility itself as a product, so that people know it's there and they will come and buy it. That's really important.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. We're right. We've gone over time a little bit.
Have we? Sorry.
No, don't apologise at all. I did want to sort of ask you quickly what your top 3 tips would be for somebody wanting to get started on their first book. What would you say?
Well, I suppose actually this is really easy in a way, because I can say it quite quickly because we've said it all already. First absolutely key thing is to create that plan. So in your strategy, whether you do that with somebody else or you do it by yourself or you do it in a team in your business, think about what it is that you want to achieve from having become a published author. Very important. What are your top priorities for, is it profile? Is it PR? Is it profit? Is it platform? Whatever it is. Think about those things carefully. Second thing is diarise it. It's very, very difficult for business owners to write a book. If you're going to do this yourself, put time in your diary, set aside half a day a week if you can, or whatever it is that you need to do. Put that in your plan. Diarise it. Tell the world that you are busy, you're with a client for those 3 hours, or whatever it is that you need to do, and be with yourself writing for that time. Third thing is tell absolutely everybody that you know that you're writing a book, and ask them to keep you accountable. If you say, right, my manuscript's going to be ready a year from now, tell the world, because it'll help you so much. If people come up to you and go, oh, I'm so excited, your book's on its way, and they will support you. When's it coming, they'll ask you, and you can go, okay, it helps to keep you going. If that's difficult for you, any of that, whether it's making the strategy, whether it's creating the time, or whether it's keeping accountable to people, get help. If it's difficult, get help. There are lots and lots of help out there, book coaches, mentors, editors, all sorts of people. We can help, but there's lots of other people out there too. But get help. Don't be on your own. You don't have to be.
Super tip. So have a strategy, plan and time in, and be accountable to someone.
Absolutely.
Fabulous. That's nice and clear. And I could talk all day, actually. I'm just absolutely fascinated by the process, and I've got that book that I want to write. So
yes,
I know. I think, yes, we'll talk about that another time. Yeah. But I'd like to end our little recording today by pointing our viewers, people who are watching this, to the resource that I know you have.
Yes.
On your website, you have a free ebook that they can download. What will that help them with?
Okay, so we've got a book called How to Get More Business by Publishing a Book, and it's 21 ways to I can't remember, it's too long a title, but it's absolutely, it gives you lots and lots of tips on writing the right book, publishing it in the right way, reaching the right readers. That's the important thing. So that is free for anybody who wants to come and sign up to our website, and we'd be delighted for you to have that. We are actually working on stacks of great content for writers, and particularly businesses who are looking at publishing books. So there will be much more coming down the line. We've got a video series. We've got all sorts of stuff. The blog has loads of stuff on it as well. But come and sign up, get the ebook, and then you can have access to all the material as we're creating it over the next few months.
And I know you're in the process of a web rebuild, so the website address will be on the screen for people to access that download and the other resources. So thank you so much. That's a very generous download. So thank you so much for your time today. As I said, I could talk on and on, but we should keep this reasonably short. But I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much. And if anyone wants to get in touch with you to talk further, they can presumably do that through the website.
Absolutely, through the website, or Sue at SueRichardson.co.uk will get me as well.
Sue at SueRichardson.co.uk.
That's
Brilliant.
the one.
So thank you so much, and thank you everybody else for tuning in to watch this. There'll be more videos coming up next month, so have a look out for that. But bye for now, and have a great week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.